Welcome to this resource which looks at the history of state integrated education here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. When the Integration Act was signed, we took on a whole lot of responsibilities and a desire to operate in a particular way. And our hope is that through these resources that you too will come to understand where we've come from, where we are now and what we do into the future as we work to protect our state integrated schools, both in terms of ensuring that our special character is maintained and also that we understand the commitment that we made in 1975 and that we continue to make now and into the future. That's why these resources are here for you, and we really hope that you'll find them helpful. One of the great gifts to education in New Zealand has been the ability to have schools that reflect the different beliefs of the community, and so the special character of a school really captures what it is that makes that school particular. And for religious schools, the special character reflects the belief and teachings of that religion. For us as Catholic people, it's the Catholic flavour of what it is to proclaim Jesus Christ. For other religions, it will reflect their own particular beliefs and practices. The reason that schools were set up, special character schools were set up, was for the passing on and the transmission of faith within that tradition. And so for us, special character is at the very heart of why these schools exist. We play a part in the wider education of our children, but from the basis of our belief in what we have called special character and within the integration agreement.
The special character is that fidelity to the gospel of Jesus Christ and to the church, and the fidelity to the founding charism of the school.
It is the reason we exist. It is the whole purpose of being an integrated school. It is the core foundation of the beliefs and culture that make our schools different to a state school.
We are so reliant on our senior staff, indeed all of our staff, and our students to demonstrate that on a day-to-day basis. So we're Catholic in what we do, the worldview that we take, and how that manifests itself in our actions. Do we get it right all day, every day? No. But it must be at the core of everything that we do. So it's an essential part of what makes us different from any other school.
It's the whole raison d'etre, the whole reason for why we are, our existence for being. And it provides the framework within which the whole school curriculum is delivered, and it's woven into everything. And I rather like to think of it as the air in which the whole school community breathes.
Special character is often quite hard to define, but also you can smell it when it's there. And for a board and for a school that's trying to maintain its special character, there are a number of elements that make that up. It'll be reflected in the policies that the board will have, and that will then be carried out by the school. It's reflected in a baseline attitude about how we do things within our school that reflects what are the basis of our special character for our faith and how that frames that. It's about practices within the school, whether they be religious practices or sometimes it's often more nuanced things. Each school has an integration agreement with the government, which is particular to that school, and so each proprietor is responsible for what happens within that school. And so in terms of special character and the role of the proprietor, there are a number of elements that make that up. Firstly, the proprietor has the right to around who is enrolled in the school. In our Catholic schools, for example, the bishops set what criteria is for preference to, and an individual proprietor then ensures that those preference requirements are met. We have the same around the number of teachers, what we call tag teachers, so that we have a core number of teachers who are then able to continue in the work of supporting the special character.
When the Tomorrow Schools Act came in, the government put in the right of the proprietor to have 4 representatives on the board of trustees. That changed the proprietor's direct control of an integrated school before 1989. After 1989, the proprietor had to set up diocesan administrations, which they hadn't had to do as on such a scale prior to that, because they could just come straight to the principal or and the board and say, this is what we're going to do. After that, they had to work through the school committee or the school board, which was a legally constituted board, and therefore they were working with a Crown entity. And so relationships had to change. The proprietor's 4 representatives were proprietor appointees, and this was considered to provide the balance for a proprietor around the board table. But it took away some of the direct control and what their role would be in supporting it. They were to be considered full board members. They weren't to have just a specific role, but they also had to know what it was they were protecting.
And we're very blessed in New Zealand because our Catholic bishops work together in the New Zealand Catholic Bishops' Conference. And we're also blessed that we have the National Centre for Religious Studies who develops the curriculum, and New Zealand Catholic Education Office and other bodies that support the Catholic school. But most importantly, we are blessed that each diocese has developed their Catholic education centres where people are particularly employed to either support the religious education in the schools, to support the staff or the principals, and equally to support the proprietor. The bishops have a wonderful slice of all the Catholic schools, and they generally have a vicar for education who will undertake that work on his behalf as a proprietor. Under legislation, there is the ability to influence the appointment of particular staff appointments. Key really, because you need a critical mass of people who are explicitly living as gospel witnesses within their Catholic faith. The proprietor has a right and a responsibility to ensure that the school is delivering its curriculum with the strongest character, special character that it has. And they do that through a review process, and they have the ability to go in and review it. And I often think it's a wonderful way to celebrate the good things that are going on.
It's key to everything that we do, because the proprietor, of course, owns the school. We're accountable under the integration agreement, and of course our deep interest is in the special character and its enduring nature, but we don't operate the school on a daily basis. So that partnership that we have with the school board to ensure that everything that happens all day, every day, in every facet of the school activity, to demonstrate who we are, what we are, and how we do it is just so key. And we can only do that if we do it through a deep and enduring partnership with the school board. Well, Māori worldview is so important as a proprietor in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So we happen to be Catholic, we happen to be Mercy at the school that I chair, but we are in New Zealand, where we operate here, and our student cohort has such a high proportion of Māori students, and they're the essence in so many ways of who we are as a school community. But also our Mercy values are deeply embedded in our commitment to the treaty, to that partnership, but also to care of the earth. Those are deep Mercy values. And so we try in everything that we do to reflect that in the operations of our school. And of course our school board is deeply committed to that as well.
If you look at the history of integrated schools from when schools were first integrated to the current day, there's been a lot of changes in society and the way people live and act, and that's reflected also in our schools. at the heart of our Catholic schools or our state integrated schools is the special character. And so having staff who are able to support that and to live that and to pass that on is one of the challenges in a world when it comes to religious practice and belief, and the passing on of special character. That's one element that we're very conscious of how do we continue to maintain a staff, because they really are key to the life of a school. Other challenges are around what are the core values of the school, and if there is some sort of tension between that and what's going on in society, and that's always a delicate balance of trying to make sure that we play our part in society while also stay true to who we are and within our faith tradition, and that is a challenge for state integrated schools with a special character. And also in the past, often our schools supported a faith life of a family, whereas often now a lot of our young people who are coming to our schools haven't had that background before, and so we're starting from quite a different point than we did in the past.
Over time that's changed, and we've drifted away from being a practicing faith to a faith and formation base. But we have seen an increase in young people becoming attached to causes in justice and in peace. All these things are coming out of the values bases that are coming from our schools.
Yeah, the change in societal values over time, what we call secular values, is one of the biggest challenges facing state integrated school proprietors and our staff and students in our schools. There has been a rise of what I call scientific rationalism. In other words, people value what they can touch, feel, see, and what they can quantify. And in that sense, religious values and a spiritual motivation are seen with some suspicion by wider society. We would like to think in our state integrated schools and in our Catholic system that the values of the way that Jesus lived his life, those values to do with respecting every person, integrity, compassion, love of your fellow man, are so incredibly important now as society changes. So while we go back 2,000 years, they are still valid now. And I'd like to think they are the very reason why we get such great outcomes for our students in our state integrated schools. So that challenge to our value system, the fact that people outside of our schools and outside of mainstream religion, would see religion as not being valid anymore, we would say it's quite the opposite. And I'm really grateful to all of the state integrated school proprietors, schools, leaders in our schools, who on a day-to-day basis do such wonderful work in protecting our value system. And they do it by working so beautifully with our young people, accepting them and making sure they're included, making sure that they grow up with a confidence in themselves to be able to go into society and to perhaps be motivated to change society when they see injustice. So it's really important our special character values still really, really valid, and I think moving forward, the challenge for our proprietors and our schools is to make sure that we actually maintain our special character despite what other people might think. We need to listen to what people think, but we also need to keep focused on those things that are so important to us, and they haven't changed for 2,000 years.